financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is extremely important to all of our children. Protecting your children. Power of attorney, special needs trust, and estate planning. Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. Pleasure to be here this morning.
We're not talking debt today.
No, but
Jeffrey
we're talking
Linden.
estate planning.
Morning,
I love
Ken.
that stuff
We're
too.
not talking
Shush.
taxes today.
Shush.
We're
Shush.
not-
You shush.
We're not talking taxes today.
No tax.
Joe Frizard.
Good
Nice to have you back. We're not talking
Gotta be.
taxes or debt. We're talking estate planning, protecting our children. How are things at Semescola?
They're great.
Great. Okay. Ready? Okay, start. When would you need a power of attorney for your child?
18. Yeah.
The minute they turn 18, period, because they're not your child anymore. They're your adult.
Why do you need it?
Well, they're always your child.
Why do you need it?
Because upon your minor reaching the age of majority, 18, you can no longer make any legal decisions for them or medical decisions on their behalf without having the appropriate powers of attorney.
So when you turned 18, did you give your parents a power of attorney?
No, because back then...
Did you when you turned 18?
No.
Did you when you turned 18?
No, I didn't know any better.
Dave, did you when you turned 18?
What's that?
So here's the answer. When my daughter turned 18, she signed a power of attorney. When my son turned 18, he signed a power of attorney.
Pause.
Why?
Do you have a daughter and a son?
I do.
Are they over 18?
They are.
Did they sign power of attorneys when they turned 18? You're
They-
under oath.
They have powers of attorney signed now.
Pretty good. Joe, you do not have children over 18.
No, I don't.
Okay. Ken, my children are way over 18. They both have powers of attorney now,
So
of which I'm not the attorney, in fact, because they're
the,
married.
the response is why...
It's a good idea, but why are you
do they-
doing that?
So let's go back 30 years. 30 years ago, traditionally, doctors and your bankers or whatever were more likely to let the parents still run the show. But legally, we've gotten so litigious in this world that now...
Because of lawyers.
Unfortunately or fortunately, yes. But the reality is that now you can't make those same decisions that you would have or influenced without having that medical power of attorney or durable power of attorney.
It's a good point. I just want to say something. When I said because of lawyers, that's what everybody says. I'm just going to throw it out there. It's not because of lawyers. It's because of clients. What we do is what the client wants us to do to protect them and to advance their interests.
It's actually
So
all
we are
because
the
of
ones-
LA Law
We are
on
in the
TV.
front line.
That's what caused us all. It's all because of the TV show LA Law.
You think that's what started it?
I think that is exactly what
Do you
started
even
it.
know what that show is?
Vaguely familiar.
But that was the when
Do you
law...
remember the theme from LA Law?
No.
Can you think of it?
No.
Do you remember the first episode?
No.
Well,
You don't remember the first
it
episode?
wasn't when Perry...
The senior partner died, and they all fought over who was taking his office. That's all they cared about is, no, I'm getting the office. No, you're getting the office. Oh, wait, the guy died. Shouldn't we take a moment and say anything about how we miss him? No, I want the office. That's why it was a great show.
But that's the
That's why you
aspect
remember
of
this.
seeing
Yes.
law on TV.
Yeah, because I'm worried about my office when I
Right.
die.
The aspect of seeing law on TV has moved the society to become more litigious.
All right, so what types of power? I know there's a springing power and an immediate power. What's the difference, and which would apply to your kid?
So that's an interesting question. So from a medical standpoint, the medical power of attorney is always a springing power of attorney, unless they grant the authority in a durable power, in a regular durable
I'm
power
talking
of
about
attorney.
durable power of attorney.
Oh, so a regular durable power of attorney grants you the authority to make decisions on behalf of another person. It can be immediate. In other words, the minute you sign it and the minute they accept it, it becomes in effect.
The agent has the power to act on you.
Or-
The agent can go and empty out your bank accounts and do whatever, anything you can do, the agent can do on an immediate power.
Or it can be springing. Springing says only upon incapacity or some other circumstance happening does the agency go into
Okay,
effect.
so in your 18-year-old, what do you want, an immediate power or do you want a springing power?
I want an immediate power.
That's because he's a control freak.
Yeah.
So, but it's not because in case they're incapacitated, it's
No.
in case you have to do some financing
No,
for them,
you
like
know,
pay a college bill or something.
It was.
Right.
I've told this story before. My daughter called me up. She got her tuition bill, and I said, "Just go ahead and pay it. The money's in your account." And she said, "There's an extra zero in it." And I said, "Go to the bursar's office, talk to them. They'll fix it."
So instead of it being $2,003, it was
20,000.
20,000.
Oh, I thought it was going to be 2003 cents.
No. So anyway, because it had that extra zero, of course, she says to me at that point, 18-year-old kid says,
What
"I don't
do I
have
do?"
time to do that. You do it, Dad."
So by making
Because
it
you're sitting
immediate, you did it right away.
around just twiddling your thumbs doing nothing.
So I called up the tuition office and I said, "I'd like to talk to you about the account." And they said, "You're not on the account." I said, "I know, but I have power of attorney. Can I email it to you so we can fix this problem?" And in 15 minutes, the problem was fixed. It's a simple story. It's a simple solution, but that's the
It
easy
shows
one.
the benefit of it.
Right.
Another example of an immediate power that's commonly used is when you have elderly parents and you're the son or you're the spouse and you're taking care of their banking and doing their regular routine things. You don't want that requirement for the springing for them to be determined to be incapacitated, so you can take care of things. Like when my dad was elderly, I would take care of every month. Comcast would charge him for Cinemax. And he didn't even know what Cinemax was. But Comcast had this thing going on that I believe was going on. In my opinion, Comcast had this thing going on that everyone over a certain age of like 80 was getting charged for Cinemax every single month unless somebody called up and said, "You're charging me inappropriately." So every month I had my power of attorney on file for my dad with them. I would make the phone call, say, "Please credit his account. You're charging him for Cinemax. You're stealing money from older people. I know what's going on. I'm going to get you. But for now, just credit his account." And they would. Let's take a break.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
I was married for 57 years before my husband died.
Simasco Law had established a trust for them before this happened.
There's so much to do in the beginning, but after about a month, you're kind of alone.
We deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
If you continue to have good support and know that your finances and your estate is in order, that's one thing that's so comforting. I would just highly recommend Simasco Law.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. So, power of attorney, immediate for the elderly. You're saying immediate for your young kids, so you can basically take care of their finances and so forth.
Yeah, because
if you're the young kid, though, and you happen to be a trust fund kid or something, or your parents have put money into a bank account for you since the time you were like 4 months old, and you're now 18, and you got a bank account that has $75,000 in it, and your dad's Brian, and says sign this power of attorney, you could say, well, I'll sign it, Dad, but only if I'm incapacitated, because the $75,000 that you've been putting away for me all this time for college and everything else, that's my money, not yours.
I'm willing to bank that trust fund kid's account that money is in is not solely controlled by that kid from the beginning.
I'm going to guarantee you.
If Brian is the father,
I don't care who it
bing,
is.
bing, 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 bing.
With that springing power of attorney, though, I mean, I always tell people don't trust someone to be your power of attorney when you lose capacity if you wouldn't trust them when you could stop them from acting, when you have capacity.
For sure.
Right.
I mean, if you're worried about them doing something and you lose capacity, there's nothing you can do. So just don't appoint someone if you don't trust them to do it.
Yeah, you want to make sure it's a
But
trustworthy
on the
person.
flip side of that, most families have a good relationship with their kids, and the goal is not to control the child. The goal is to be able to assist the child, who is now a young adult, and make sure that you're guiding them still without them coming to you and saying, hey, I need help. And you say, okay, but they won't talk to me. They won't work with me. I can't talk to your credit card company. I can't talk to your tuition office. I can't talk to your doctor. They won't listen to me.
Yeah,
I
that's
need
a good
those
idea.
permissions.
Well, and just like what Joe's saying is, if the child can't trust the parent, that's a really bad scenario.
Right.
Okay, it would
But
be
that's
kind
not
of a-
normal. The
No.
normal scenario is the parent and the child trust each other, and it's a good tool to assist your children through their still developing years.
I would say the more normal situation is the child trusts the parent. I don't know how much the parent trusts the 18-year-old child
Right.
to make financial decisions.
Well, that would be one of the reasons why the parent should be asking the child for the power
In fact,
of attorney.
we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show in terms of that issue, but special needs trusts. Let's talk about that. Joe, what is a special needs trust?
So a special needs trust is one that can provide supplemental support for a child with special needs, or it could be an adult with special needs who's receiving government benefits of some kind, typically Medicaid or SSI, both, and you don't want to knock them off of those benefits.
So
from
so what?
the
So
inheritance
first,
they have.
I think before you have a special needs trust, you need to have a special needs child or adult. You need a special needs person. What is that?
Well, generally, it's someone who is going to have a
I have special needs.
No.
I
Those are
need
different. We're for a different
macaroni
show.
and
We have to
cheese.
talk about those at a
Macaroni and
different show.
cheese with cauliflower by Amy's. I need that at lunch between 12:30 and 1 with tuna mixed in.
So,
Am I a special needs adult?
an individual who would require a special needs trust is someone who is eligible for or potentially eligible for or is receiving governmental benefits that if they otherwise had assets in their name or were the recipient of assets that they inherited would lose those benefits. Those benefits can include Medicaid, and they can include SSI.
So to hammer home my point, the special needs person is one who has some type of disability.
Yes, generally.
Fair enough. Okay, so it's like my special needs for my macaroni and cheese, my Qdoba on Tuesday night, my turkey sandwich on Monday night.
That's not special needs. That's just OCD.
Yes. Okay. It's not.
Yes.
So I don't get any supplemental income for that.
No.
You're just eccentric.
Yeah.
Or set in my ways, perhaps.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're poor, you're stubborn and set in your ways, and if
Right.
you're wealthy, you're eccentric.
You're eccentric,
It's still
yeah.
the same thing.
Yes.
So I'm somewhere
in
between
between?
poor and eccentric.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Somewhere between stubborn
All right.
and eccentric.
So the special needs person, the reason why we do a special needs trust is to take advantage of the governmental subsidies they receive, but also allows the family to cover other expenses.
I think that's the wrong way to say it. It allows them to continue to receive the governmental benefits they're entitled to, and allows the family to do more for them on
Supplement
top
them.
of it.
Well, because the baseline is if you're subsisting on the government benefits, you're subsisting. You're not living
In fact, it's
literally
virtually
a luxury life. You
It's
can't.
almost impossible to subsist if
almost,
that's all you have.
It's almost not enough. It's barely enough to make basic needs, let alone any idea of a reasonable life.
You know what? Let me give you a real life example. So, you have a child who has autism, and they are capable of working in a job, but not truly earning a true
Normal
living.
living.
But they can function as an adult, earn some money, but their income is way below poverty level. And so when you give them the SSI that they're also entitled to, and the Medicaid that they're entitled to, now suddenly at least they can provide for themselves.
Right.
The family now has money, and maybe they've been taking care of the child directly, but now they want to make sure that they don't lose those benefits, because especially the health insurance under Medicaid, extraordinarily important. So we create a special needs trust that allows them to protect those benefits.
What about the autistic child who's working and earning income? Does that impact whether he gets the?
They could still be receiving those benefits if it's low enough, but what you don't want is them to inherit money and now they lose all their benefits, and the money that they inherited, all it's going towards is what could have been gotten through those benefits, and then they get back on once.
So
it's all
mom
set.
and dad have their estate plan, and they're leaving their estate plan to their children, and they have 3 children. One of the children is a special needs and is getting subsistence. So you don't want to leave the estate outright a third,
Exactly.
because the third child gets his share of the money, and then it takes away the benefits.
Correct.
So you do a special needs trust. So we're coming up to a break. What I want to know after the break is, how does the child then, how do you administer and manage a special needs trust?
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Samasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Samasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order, and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Samasco Law.
Time for announcements. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff. Sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-4357. Also, go online to our website to get our free reports. Resolving tax problems, the real solutions. Bankruptcy, is it right for me? How to save your home from foreclosure. Business formations, loans, and grants for small businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And the Retiree's Guide to Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Simaska Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. All right, a little baseball. This is what we're talking about is a third-party special needs trust. And there's also, I know, a first-party special needs trust, which I'm going to ask you guys about in a second. But how would you administer the family third-party special needs trust? How does that work?
Yeah, so the trustee has to be someone other than the beneficiary, and they are allowed to distribute the assets for certain supplemental needs that can't be doing the same thing that Medicaid or SSI is paying for. So you have to be very careful. I mean, you do have to make sure that this is someone who's...
So could it cover cab fare and Uber fees and transportation and things like that?
Things like that.
Cover rent?
It shouldn't. I mean, you can get in trouble for covering housing.
Okay, but what about a vacation?
Yeah.
So it can't cover housing.
Education?
Yeah.
But it can cover all these other things.
Yeah, it depends on the benefits. I mean, it's a really fact specific.
So you got to be careful in terms of the administration. So that's the third party. What is this first party like? You know, first party special needs trust.
So there are individuals who, the best example is a child is injured and receives a personal injury award. Okay, a significant one, but they have needs now
They're
because
in a
of
car
the injury.
accident when they're young.
Yeah, so now they need Medicaid, they need SSI. They're never going to be able to work. They need permanent care. Yet there's this pool of money that was awarded to them.
$1 million.
We put that money into a first-party special needs trust for their use during their lifetime, and it gets administered basically the same way. It's got the same sort of rules.
Same rules?
One big caveat,
With
you
what?
have to say that you pay back Medicaid after the person passes away from a first-party special needs trust.
Right. So the money goes back to the state after the child, after the
And if
individual
there's anything
passes.
left
Well, wait,
after that,
it's not
then
all
it
the
can
money.
go ahead.
It's
Right.
reimbursement. So it's if you're on Medicaid, you reimburse the state for the Medicaid payments it's made. It's if there's more in that fund than Medicaid has paid during that person's
just the
lifetime, they don't
Medicaid,
get a
but not
bonus.
SSI?
And another warning, there is also those pooled trusts, and typically those will be paid all of the rest of it into the pool that's administrating the first-party special needs trust.
That leaves the assets available for others.
So the bottom line on the special needs is if you have that situation with a child with special needs is you need counsel to make sure that these trusts are put together. All three of you guys are familiar with it and you know what to do, and that's the important
Well,
aspect of it.
the other thing
I wanna-
about a special needs trust, remember what it's funding, okay? So a first party special needs trust gets funded by the individual who owns the asset. That's the
Because he was awarded the money from the
accident or whatever, right? A third party special needs trust doesn't get funded generally until the death of the parent.
Got it. Because that's where you're leaving, because you just don't want to leave the money out right to the child. All right, so we only have a couple minutes left, but we're talking about protecting our kids. So I want to kind of migrate back over to the estate plan. And when I said earlier about trusting your 18-year-old, well, what about in your estate plan? And let's say your estate is worth, $1 million, and you have 3 kids, and each one, and when husband and wife both pass away, they're each going to get a third. So, do you want to just leave, a third of $1 million outright to your 18-year-old son or daughter?
Only if you want it gone by the time they're 19.
Well, what would the son do with the money?
Buy a really nice
I
Corvette.
was gonna say the same.
You're
That's
still
right.
with the Corvette, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's a
you're
Cor-
just
Can
sticking with the Corvette.
Corvette's
all the
a
time.
Can you spend $300,000 on a Corvette?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
the newest ones are starting at 160,000 and go up.
Well, what would a daughter do with the money?
Buying a Corvette,
Do you think?
the equivalent.
Let's vote on that. I have daughters, I have grandsons.
Some there's always going to be the 18-year-old child that's going to be super responsible and save it, and there's going to be the 18-year-old child, doesn't matter male or female, that it will be gone by the time they're 19. It doesn't matter what they're buying it on.
I just think that my daughters might have gravitated towards jewelry.
But it's still going to be gone.
Right.
That's why you
I hope
create.
they're watching this show.
That's why you create a trust that protects the money, disperses it when they're old enough to be responsible. You can use it for education purposes, health and welfare during that time till they become old enough to receive the money. Estate planning is another topic for another day, but all of this
it
deals with.
definitely is, because you ran me out of time on the outline. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.